Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I am your host, Shapiro the Hero, aka Daddy Dreidels. Week 2 is in the books, and as expected, we are starting to see that bell curve develop of contenders, pretenders, and everyone in between. I know 2 weeks isn't enough to count out anybody just yet, but looking ahead, there are certainly a couple of teams who might be selling at the deadline. We'll take a look around the league at scorers and standout players, but first, this word from our sponsor, Pampers Diapers. Pampers Diapers, good for crying babies or for grown-ass men crying about their fantasy teams. And speaking of Pampers, before we officially kick off this week's recap, I want to send a big congratulations to our newest official daddy, our beloved Commissioner PJ. He and Ava welcomed their son Milo Gabriel over the weekend, and we are thrilled to hear that everyone is doing well. Congratulations, PJ and Ava. And with that, let's start this week's recap with our matchup of the week. After putting up the highest team score in Week 1, PJ found himself on the opposite side of that scoreboard this week as he loses to Josh 195.8 to 129.95. In fairness to PJ, Josh did get over 80 points alone from Stephon Diggs, as Josh takes home $30 for having the week's highest scoring team and individual player. Josh also got a 30-point game from Justin Herbert and Mike Williams on Thursday night, which canceled out a 0 from his tight end and a negative score from the Dolphins' D. PJ's team created a balanced attack this week, led by 25.5 points from quarterback Derek Carr, but when you face the top-scoring team for the week, you really don't have a chance. Unfortunately, that's just the way things roll sometimes. PJ will look to rebound in Week 3 against George, while Josh looks to go 3-0 against Cheese. And speaking of Cheesy Baby, he saw what George can do when he actually does try, so maybe all that talk in the offseason about George actually trying this year wasn't just bullshit. George gets the win this week, 153.95 to 94.85. After watching Mahomes drop a 50-piece in Week 1, Cheese was the victim of Lamar Jackson and his 66.8 points. Had Stephon Diggs not been Josh's captain this week, George would have gotten the $10 bonus for having the highest scoring player, but next week, pick your captain better. George also got 37 points from Aaron Jones, while the rest of his team, except for Jamar Chase, failed to even break double digits. Cheese was led by the aforementioned Mahomes, who scored 27.65 points, and Cheese also got double digits from kicker Evan McPherson and the Bills' D. Cheese is now 0-2 and will look to get into the win column next week against Josh, while George sits at 1-1 and will try to go above 500 when he takes on PJ. At this time, my friends, I'd like to pause the recap and send a little dedication to our friend Big John.
Can't touch this.
Yes, I played Big John this week, and as always, I was able to come away with a win, 169.15 to 139.35. That musical tribute is to show that I have actually never lost to Big John in the 2+ seasons that he has been in the league. So John, I own you, baby. This week, my leading scorer was Captain Curtis Samuel, who got me over 34 points. I also got 30 points from Mark Andrews and 29 from the Bucs D. Big John definitely gave me a scare with Jalen Waddle and his 45.1 points, but it was those 4 o'clock games that cost John the win. He is now 0-2 and will take on Kyle Swans in Week 3, while I am now 2-0 and will face Jed in next week's matchup of the week. And speaking of Jed, he went up against our defending champ Kyle Swans in Week 2, but he banged and skeeted all over those teabags as Jed won 169.1 to 124.6. Jalen Hurts led the way for Jed's victory, scoring 44.35 points. Jed also got big numbers from Nick Chubb and rookie Drake London as he moves to 2-0 on the season. For Kyle, the title defense isn't going the way he planned it as he falls to 0-2 out of the gate despite 55 points from Tyreek Hill. Kyle will look to get into the win column against Big John next week, while Jed and I will face off in a rematch of the 2015 title game. Okay, folks, unfortunately, I think it might be time to give Brett some respect. No, it's too early for that. However, Brett is now 2-0 after defeating Zach 176.38 to 147.15. Brett's leading scorer this week was Amon-Ra St. Brown with 44.4 points. Brett also got 30.1 points from Amari Cooper, as he miraculously didn't complain about his bench outscoring starters this week. Zach got 20-point games from Matt Stafford, Christian Kirk, and Cortland Sutton, but falls to 0-2 to start the season. Zach will try for his first win this week against Swans, while Brett rides his surprising unbeaten streak into a matchup with Armenti. And finally, in our closest matchup of the week, Swans actually knocked off Armenti 139.7 to 132.35. Despite a 0 from the Colts D on Sunday, it was Josh Allen's 47.85 points on Monday night that led the way for Swans' victory. Meanwhile, once again, Cooper Kupp carried Armenti's team with 35.8 points. I think Kupp might go down as the best keeper in Team Daddy history. But, as Armenti pointed out in the group chat, 3 Kirk Cousin interceptions may have been the difference in this one. Armenti will face Brett in Week 3, while Swans will take on Zach. With 2 weeks gone, let's take a look at our way too early standings. Josh sits in first place at 2-0 by virtue of points scored. Jed, Brett, and myself are all also 2-0. PJ leads our 1-1 teams after his Week 1 dominance, followed by George, Swans, and Armenti. Finally, we have our 4 teams still looking for their first wins in Big John, Zach, Cheese, and Kyle Swans. The season is just getting started, so there's plenty of time for things to turn around. Keep setting those lineups, check the waiver wire, and hey, why not drop $100 on a player because you think it's a smart move? I know I did. But as always, I want to thank you for watching. This has been another edition of the Team Daddy Weekly Recap. I'm Daddy Dreidels, and I will see you next time. L'chaim, motherfuckers!